Light work, boys. Right, guys, Room 71 here. This is my Hexblade build guide. We're going to build our Hexblade as a retaliation tank. And the reason for that is because the Hexblade has the highest damage ceiling in the game for retaliation damage. And the reason for that is Hexblade's curse. So every source of retaliation damage on a cursed target will add your proficiency bonus, and there's other aspects of the kit that make it a really good tank, a really good retaliation tank. So the Hexblade's curse, when we kill a target, we heal our Hexblade level plus our charisma modifier, and our accursed spectres, which we get at level 6. When they do damage, they'll heal us as well. So there's two aspects of the kit that make it a really good retaliation tank, and the third is Warlock spell slots and Armour of Agathis. So because you have upcast spell slots and they refresh on a short rest, Armour of Agathis scales with you through the game. So with an Abjuration Wizard, you're trying to protect one cast of Agathis with your ward and manage your ward and all the rest of it. With a Warlock retaliation tank, you just burn your spell slots. Like, you've got so many of them, and we're going to add so much damage to Armour of Agathis that you just treat it like an offensive spell. So if you're level 5, you cast a fireball, say it does 30 damage to a bunch of enemies, it does 150 damage in total. We're gonna play around with Agathis, so you'll get comparable mileage out of each cast, and by the end game, your full kit is going to be doing 150 retaliation damage a hit, and we're going to have things in place to protect it to the extent where you'll get 4 or 5 retaliations out of it, and you have 3 of them per short rest. So over the course of a long rest, if you're getting 500-600 damage each short rest out of Armour of Agathis, and take 3 short rests, is 1500 odd damage. So obviously it's it's an absolute boatload of damage, and enemies just rip themselves to bits on it because of Hexblade Curse and some tech we're going to add to it. So that's what we do. That's our main spell. Other spell, Expeditious Retreat, really good for the early game. I'll show you an item that pairs well with it, and we'll take Eldritch Blast and Booming Blade. So Eldritch Blast mainly used like in the early game and for utility, but we won't be taking any of the invocations with it because it just gets in the way of what we're trying to do. So we will take Armour of Shadows and Devil's Sight. We're going to spend a lot of the game in robes, especially the end game, because there's a clothing item that is best in slot for us. And Devil's Sight is just good, especially as a Githyanki, because they don't have dark vision. So here we're going to take Arms of Hadar. It's a really good disengage spell. If you want to take shield, like for the early game, you can, but you're forcing retaliation damage. If you're constantly forcing retaliation damage, you don't want this pop-up. It's just irritating, and like spending a level 4 spell slot on shield just feels awful. Hex doesn't feel as bad, and the reason for that is it's 1d6 will apply to every source of retaliation damage, which is another reason why the Hexblade has the highest retaliation damage ceiling. So obviously your concentration's contested a lot because you're forcing opportunity attacks to get your retaliation damage out. But if you want to hit your damage ceiling on a boss, you can cast this on them. You know, we've made them vulnerable, force an opportunity attack, and it'll really, you know, push the total damage up. Quite often, this can be the critical mass that'll get a boss to one-shot kill itself. So we'll take that there. Right, Pact of the Blade, because we will be swinging our weapon a lot. It's a massive part of the build. I'll show you that when we get to it. Nothing really for us here. So basically, the spells are either defensive, which we want to get hit, so they're just useless, or they're offensive, but at the end of the day, our offensive spell is Armour of Agthis, and our whole build is going to be set up for it. So anything that we cast here is going to do less damage than Agathis, because we've completely itemized around it. I like invisibility for the utility, but take what you want here. And let me show you early game itemization. Right, Speedy Light Feet. Cast Expeditious Retreat. You're in a battle. Cast Dash. You get 3 lightning charges. And then you can Eldritch Blast. If you add the Spell Sparkler, you'll get 5 charges every time Eldritch Blast hits. So your next Eldritch Blast will pop the 1d8. Yeah, really, really good in the early game. Gives you really good mobility. I actually took the Jolt Shooter on my playthrough, and there's a reason for that, which as you see the build develop, you'll see why. But yeah, let's get to level 4. Savage Attacker. Really good for us. Just an awesome feat. So cantrips here, Blade Ward. And this is where we start to play as a retaliation tank. You can take Hellish Rebuke, but we're going to be forcing vulnerability to Cold and Lightning for the whole game, as much as we can. So yeah, this build really likes a water caster. So a cleric that can apply Blade Ward with Hellrider's Gloves, or even Warding Bond, and then cast water, massively enables this build. Yeah, up to you here. I guess we take a whole person. Not that we'll be using it, because if people are held, they can't attack us. Right. Here, we will take... What did I take? Yeah, I think I took Mask of Many Faces. So I really like Disguise Self, just because the Shapeshifter's Boom gives us the 1-4 on all checks. And this will be your, your Tav, your main character. It'll want the hags here. So that 1d4 is really useful. But yeah, Repelling Blast is like really good utility. It's hard to argue with. It can knock people into chasms. It can just, insta-kill people. It is good utility for when people are far away. So yeah, up to you here, whether you want the 1d4 for conversation checks, or yeah, you want the Repelling Blast for combat. Spell, level 5, counter spell. So, about this level, you start getting items that pull the build together. So, Morning Frost. That is our forever weapon. It'll never ever leave your hand. Broodmother's Revenge. Boots of Stormy Clamour. Really Sparkly Sparks Wall. And the Protecty Sparks Wall. So, the way it's going to look are about level 5. Is you're going to have Agathis go in. Which is going to give you 15 hit points. We've got Morning Frost, which has got cold damage. What you're going to do is you're going to run up to someone. You're going to hit them. And hopefully apply the chilled from Morning Frost, which makes them vulnerable to cold. And then you're going to step back and force the opportunity attack. You can cast Blade Ward as you go in. But like I said, Warlock spell slots are just, you can basically burn through them. I use Blade Ward because I'm going solo, but if you've got a cleric with you and he can just come in and I'll show you now.
One with the weave.
So Gale can cast a heal on you. It'll proc Broodmother's Revenge, then he can come in and cast water on top. So you'll have Broodmothers go in, you'll hit for cold damage, and then back and force the opportunity attack. And that's basically the gameplay loop for the whole game. Like I said, if you you can put Warding Bond on at level 3, and yeah, Warding Bond and water with Armour of Agathis is just going to mutilate people. Yeah, level 6 is where it really starts to come together. So we get our Accursed Spectre, which is good. Everything here is nonsense, honestly. Like, doesn't matter. Take Hunger of Dar if you want, but at the end of the day, if they're blind, it's harder for them to hit you. But we get a bunch of items here that will never ever leave our build. And this is the key item, the Ring of Elemental Infusion. Right, so what this item does, and this is the tech behind the build. Let me show you. Right, so let's take a look at how the setup comes together. This is at level 8. We'll take on the Githyanki ambush, which is quite a nasty fight solo. And we'll have a look at the damage log. And you can see how the Ring of Elemental Infusion loads onto everything. And yeah, let's get into it.
Quickly then.
Where Wargas failed to kill you, I won't make the same mistake.
Right, so if you look here now, we've got our cold infusion loaded, alright? So when someone attacks us, I'll show you how that behaves with our retaliation kit.
I will take the artifact for my queen!
Right, so we'll get her wet. We'll apply curse on her. And she can do an opportunity attack. Okay. So she's just taken 120 damage. Let's have a look. So the cape did its 6 acid damage, and then that added 8 from our elemental infusion. And that added Hexblade's Curse as well. So then we look at the Iron Vine Shield, Hexblade's Curse, and Elemental Infusion. Our Fire Shield has added Elemental Infusion and Hexblade's Curse, and Armour of Agathis has added both of them as well. So you can see we've lost 7 hit points of our Armour of Agathis, and we just did 120 damage there. Like, obviously that's significant damage. And we'll get another Accursed Spectre now. Right, so if you were paying attention to how Ring of Elemental Infusion works, you will have seen that we had Shillelagh and Iron Vine Shield. So, Sign of Ill Omen's really good. It's like the damage one is like Hex, except it's a 1d8, so it's more damage. So yeah, it's another tool for if you want to like work towards the damage ceiling of the build. You can cast that. I really like Phantasmal Killer. I really like it. I didn't play around Resi Stone on this run because I was just working hard with the retaliation damage, but if you pair this with Resi Stone, absolutely brutal. I'd highly recommend trying it out. Right, level 8. We take Magic Initiate Druid. We take Shillelagh and Guidance and Longstrider. Staggering Smite can be good. I didn't particularly use it for the run. Right, let's have a look. So, at level 8, we're going to have the Iron Vine Shield. And we can equip the Callous Glow Ring. And I beat the Murder Tribunal with these items. These exact items. I walked through the Murder Tribunal. So there's a lot of undead in Act 2, right? And they're vulnerable to Radiant. So you've got the Oak Father's Embrace on. You've got the Iron Vine Shield. You've got Armour of Agathis. You can have a Fire Shield Chill as well. And every one of those sources of retaliation damage is going to be adding Elemental Infusion. It's going to be adding Callous Glow. Obviously, they're vulnerable to Radiant as well. This setup for Act 2 is absolutely overwhelming. It's brutal. Yeah, so take the Radiant gear off for the Justiciars, but for all the undead, it just makes absolute mincemeat of them. If you want to wear the Potent Robe for when you don't want the Radiant damage, and obviously that applies twice to Booming Blade, you can. And also Diadem of Arcane Synergy. So, but that's like striker damage. But yeah, the Risky Ring is cool as well. I tend to use Gloves of the Automaton to get my advantage. And then you can run the Callous Glow Ring. But yeah, just get Magic Initiate Druid, cast Shillelagh. That activates the Iron Vine Shield. The Iron Vine Shield carries all your riders. The Flesh Melter Cloak carries all your riders. Armour of Agathis carries them all. Fire Shield carries them all. And that's how you end up with damage logs like this, look. So that's the cloak. That's the shield. So they've all got 3. Yeah. So let's get into the late game. So basically, we just keep leveling up. The water elemental or the air elemental are good because people. Well, if you're applying chilled with Morning Frost, I'd say the water elemental. But we haven't got anything to stop us slipping. But yeah, the elementals are just good. Banishing Smite If you chill someone and then wet them, they will be frozen. And if you, because we got a staff which is bludgeoning damage, if you do a booming blade with your staff and with the force damage against their vulnerability, you will do an absolute shit ton of damage. So look out for chilled. And yeah, if you've got the actions to spare, just bear in mind you need your bonus action for banishing smite as well, and obviously concentration. So don't try and cast it while you're hasted. But that's yeah, that's like deluxe finish. You won't get that many opportunities because it's quite hard to manage like the bonus action and the action. But if you're in a party and you've got someone who can is in the turn order with you, that can cast water, it's good fun. It is a shitload of damage. But yeah, we just keep leveling her. Cone of Cold is good here if we're forcing vulnerability. Take minor illusion there. Nothing of interest here. Maybe hold monster. Nothing of interest there either. So the item setup with the Oak Father's Embrace, that's going to take you like right the way till Act 3. Just because obviously, you know, Merkel is undead, Ketheric's undead. There's just so the whole act is just people who are vulnerable to Radiant, isn't it? Then when we get into Act 3, we get another 2 items that apply to retaliation damage. So Horns of the Berserker, that'll add 2 necrotic damage to everything. There we go, look. You see it there? And then the Bone Spike Garb as well. So that'll carry all the riders. That will add onto every source of retaliation damage. Baneful Striking is going to let you apply Chilled from Morning Frost. I was using them because I was solo, but one thing to note, Gloves of Battle Mage power, you stack Acuity on retaliation. So all your retaliation damage will give you 2 Acuity. Now obviously you lose 2 Acuity because you're taking damage, but you break even. So say you generate Acuity with Booming Blade, you don't lose it on your turn, when on the enemy's turn when they're hitting you or when you're forcing opportunity attacks. So after 1 or 2 turns, you can be at max Acuity, and if you want to drop a Phantasmal Killer, you know, or a big hold monster, you're well capable of doing that. So yeah, for party play, the Gloves of Battle Mage power probably best in slot. I like the Baneful Striking for landing chilled. But yeah, this is our end game build, and that's it. Everything in the kit applies to retaliation damage. You get crazy damage logs like these. You get big bards like Orin and Saravok just killing themselves on you. Just trying to think of anything I left out. Yeah, the Amulet of Greater Health for your health pool and take more hits, do retaliation damage. That's really good. The really sparkly Sparks Wall, before you get the Iron Vine Shield, you can max your lightning charges on the Jolt Shooter, activate that. The aura is really good and the damage is significant if they're wet. Yeah, but basically that's the build, guys. You just work towards the Flesh Melter and the Iron Vine, play around your Agathis, get used to going in, learn your limits. Yeah, let's have a look at some endgame combat. Alright, here's one down. That's a lot of retaliation damage, guys. Look at that. Look at that. Yeah, look at that damage log. Absolutely overwhelming. Job done, guys. Yeah, we just we just exist, boys.